Hello everyone. I hope everyone is healthy and safe. Today, this video is for all the students who study Traveler 2. Today we will do Module 3, Lesson 1, and this is on your student book, page 35. The title of today's lesson is Negative Questions and Question Tags. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to form and use negative questions, form and use question tags, and throughout this lesson we will learn the difference between negative questions and question tags, if there is any. The first part of the lesson, I want you to look at these two questions and tell me if there is any difference between the two questions. Question A, does she have a car? Question B, doesn't she have a car? So for a few seconds I want you to think about the difference. Is there any difference? Yes, actually there is a difference between the two questions. The first question is a regular question. You're asking because you don't know if she has a car or not. But the second question, you are assuming that the other person will agree with you. So you probably know that she has a car, and you want to confirm or make sure that she already has a car. And this is the difference between the first question, which is positive, and the second one, which is negative. How do we start a negative question? How do we make a negative question? You can make a negative question starting with an auxiliary verb. And on this screen, we have some of these auxiliary verbs that you can start your question with, like isn't, aren't, wasn't, weren't, haven't, hasn't, can't, shouldn't, and many more. Now, I want everybody of you to open their student books, page 35, and look at the practice section on that page. We're going to practice making some negative questions. Read the situations and make negative questions. What do you say? So you're going to read some situations and you have to decide what you should say in these situations using negative questions. And I will also tell you when to use negative questions, inshallah, while we're doing this. The first situation. You're surprised that your brother doesn't know how to use a cash machine. How would you react, or what would you say in this situation? You don't know, your brother doesn't know how to use a cash machine. How would you respond to this using a negative question? Think about it. Yes, exactly. You're gonna express your surprise using a negative question, saying, don't you know how to use a cash machine? Because everybody now knows how to use cash machines. So we can use negative questions to express surprise. The second one. You see a man who you think went to the same school as you. What do you say? Can you make a negative question? Yes, very good. Well, there are two possible answers here. The first one, didn't you go to the same school as me? The second one, you can say, didn't we go to the same school? Didn't we go to the same school? So, I have a question. Why did we start this question with didn't? Why not don't? Yes, very good. The answer is obvious because the verb here is in the past. It's went. So your question should start with the auxiliary verb didn't. Number 3. Your best friend buys a new book, but you're quite sure that he's read it before. What do you say? Exactly. Are we going to start with did? Do? What is the right auxiliary verb to be used here? Well, actually, this sentence, he's read it before, is a present perfect simple sentence. And this is short for has. So the question should start with have or has, because it's a present perfect. And since you're talking to your friend, you're going to say, haven't you read this book before? Haven't you read this book before? So we can use negative questions to express surprise or to confirm or make sure that what we think is right or what we know is right. Next part, question tags. Question tags are another way to confirm that you are right or to confirm the information that you know. And Americans usually call it tag questions, so it's the same. If you say question tags, it's okay. If you say tag questions, it is also okay. Now look at this example, look at this picture. It's a tall building in Saudi Arabia. I think you're familiar with it. Look at this example. It's a tall building, isn't it? It's a tall building, isn't it? The tag question is, isn't it? It's a tag question. And we usually ask this for 2 reasons. Number 1, if you want to assume or if you expect the other person that he will agree with you. And the second, if you want to confirm and make sure that you are right. But obviously in this example, as we are looking at this picture, it's a tall building. So you're not confirming or making sure that what you are saying is right, but you expect the listener to agree with you. And it depends on the tone of the question. For example, listen again. It's a tall building, isn't it? It's a tall building, isn't it? Do I really want an answer, or I'm just making a statement and I expect you to agree with me? Yes, I'm making a statement and I expect you to agree with me. And the tone here is a falling tone. It's a falling tone because you don't need an answer. You're just making a statement and I expect you to agree with me. So this is a tag question. What do you notice here? In the statement, it's a building or it's a tall building, the verb is positive, it's affirmative. But when we make a question tag, it should be the opposite. The verb should be negative. So if the statement is affirmative, then the verb should be negative in the question tag. And since we have is, verb to be, so you can use it. So, look at this picture. Do you recognize this team? Yes, very good. I know most of you know this team. This is Liverpool. This is Liverpool. Now look at the first sentence. Liverpool won the match yesterday, didn't they? Liverpool won the match yesterday, didn't they? So I want you to notice my tone here. Is it different from the first question? Yes, it's different from the first question because I'm not really sure if they won the match. So I'm asking, Liverpool won the match yesterday, didn't they? And the tone here is different. It's a rising tone. So if the question tag has a rising tone, then you really need an answer, and you want to make sure that what you have just said is right. Now look at the before we move to the other example, I want you to notice the verb here. One. One is a verb in the past simple. Very good. That's why I used didn't. Didn't. Second example, Liverpool didn't win the match yesterday, did they? Again, Liverpool didn't win the match yesterday, did they? So, still, I want to confirm this piece of information. I don't know if it's right or not, so I'm asking you. And as you can see, the verb here in this sentence is negative. It's a negative statement. So that's why I used did they. It's a positive question. And make sure that you use the opposite. If the verb is negative, if the sentence is negative, put the verb or the question tag in the positive form. If it's a positive form or a positive statement, you have to make a negative question tag. And as I have just told you, that the tone of the question is a rising tone. Now we have some exceptions. For example, look at the first sentence. Let's go swimming. If somebody says to you, let's go swimming, and he wants to follow this or attach this statement with a question tag, what would he say? Let's go swimming. In this example, or in this instance, you have to use shall we. It's an exception. Let's go swimming, shall we? Let's go swimming, shall we? And the second one, clean your room. This is an imperative. If you start your sentence with the base form of the verb, this is an imperative, like when you give instructions or orders to somebody. Now look at the second one. Again, clean your room. Will you? Clean your room. Will you? Because this sentence is not present, future, or past. It's simply imperative. So this is how we make a question tag in such case. The third example. I'm responsible for my little brother. I'm responsible for my little brother. Look at the I am. Look at the subject and the verb, I am. The question tag should be aren't I. Although we don't use are with I, but in this example, to make a question tag in this example, you have to use aren't I. And be careful. I am is positive or affirmative, and the question tag is in the negative form. Now, let's do some more practice. Now, look again at your student book and open your book page 35. Look at exercise B under the practice section. Complete the dialogues with the correct question tags. Now, I'll give you a few seconds to look at the questions. Okay. Now, this is like a short dialogue between two people. The first one says, Saud, you went to the bank today. And space. No, you didn't tell me to go. Yes, I did. Sorry. You can go tomorrow. So, how would you make question tags? For example, look at the first one. When you make a question tag, the first important thing that you should look at is, do you have an auxiliary in the sentence? Do we have an auxiliary here? Do we have a helping verb? Yes, very good. We don't have a helping verb here. So what should we do? You should look at the main verb and decide whether it's a present, past, or future. Now look at this. You went to the bank today. Where is the main verb? Yes, it's went. And this verb is in the, exactly, it's in the past simple. So in this case, you can use did or didn't. And it depends on the statement. Is it positive or negative? Is it affirmative or negative? Now, you went to the bank today is an affirmative sentence. So when you make a question tag, it should be negative. So it should be, did you or didn't you? Very good. It should be, didn't you? Now, the second one. No, you didn't tell me to go. This one is a little bit easier than the first one because you already have the auxiliary verb. You didn't tell me to go. You didn't. So all you need to do is to change the negative form of the auxiliary verb into a positive form or affirmative form. So the question tag should be, did you? Now let's move to the last question. You can go tomorrow. As you can see, we have the auxiliary verb or the modal verb can, which expresses ability. And this verb is in the affirmative form. So you can go tomorrow. What is the negative? What is the question tag? Yes. Teacher, this is affirmative and we're going to change it into negative to make a question tag. So the right answer is, can't you? Can't you? So let's go over what we have studied today. The first part of the lesson was making negative questions and why we use negative questions. To make a negative question, simply you should start with a negative auxiliary. Like verb to be, am, is, are, was, and were, but in the negative form, like isn't, aren't, wasn't, weren't, and so on. Or you can use verb to have in the negative form, like haven't, hasn't, or you can use verb to do in the negative form, like don't, didn't, doesn't, and all the modal verbs like should, shouldn't, can, can't, all these modal verbs, will, won't, and so on. Why do we make negative questions? Why do we ask negative questions? You can ask negative questions if you have a piece of information and you want to make sure you are right. The second thing, if you assume that the other person will agree with you. Now, the second part of the lesson is the second part that we covered in the lesson is question tags. And question tags is another way to make sure that what you say is right. Homework. You should do question 2 as homework. It's on page 35. And I want you to check the school's e-learning portal for electronic homework always. Please stay safe. Thank you.